Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie Morin, and today I will be reading to you the story of Madeline. Now, if you guys haven't really heard of Madeline, I would highly recommend you find the 1990s animated series version because there was a lot of children's books being adapted for cartoons in the early to mid 90s, so you might want to look for those on YouTube or on DVD, on Amazon, wherever you can. This particular version of Madeline I will be reading to you comes from this gigantic book full of the 20th century children's stories. This is the 20th century children's book Treasury, and it is filled to the brim with books that I have read since I was a little girl. Stella Luna, Curious George, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, Mrs. Nelson is Missing. There are actually a couple of stories that I will be reading later on. One of them being the story of Babar, and the other one being A Million Fish, more or less. So I really look forward to reading those, and you can like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see those in action. But without any further ado, let's get started on Madeline. Written and illustrated by Ludwig Bememans, and it was originally published in 1939. In an old house in Paris that was covered in vines lived 12 little girls in 2 straight lines. Who do you think's with them? Their teacher? Their caregiver? I wonder who she is. In 2 straight lines they broke their bread, and brushed their teeth, and went to bed. They smiled at the good, and frowned at the bad, and sometimes they were very sad. They left the house at 9:30, in 2 straight lines, in rain or shine. See the girls? I can only imagine it's like a very religious, kind of like a boarding school. Like all this order. See down here? There is, the girls are looking at the little horse, and they are with criminals. The policeman's chasing after them. He's trying to help. On the other page, they're looking at a soldier with an injured ankle. Now remember, this was originally published in 1939, so World War II probably hadn't started yet, but it would have started soon after publishing. So this is the soldier with the injured leg. So maybe he was doing like the skirmishes that probably led to the war. And this book has a really great aesthetic. Like a little watercolor. The smallest one was Madeline. She was not afraid of mice. She loved winter, snow, and ice. To the tiger in the zoo, Madeline just said, "Pooh, pooh." Aha! That's Madeline right there. She's not like any of the girls in this little boarding school. Not afraid of anything. Not even the tiger. I hope that many of you will grow up to be just as brave as Madeline. Don't you think so? And nobody knew so well how to frighten Miss Clavel. In the middle of one night, Miss Clavel turned on her light. and said, "Something is not right." Little Madeline sat in bed, cried and cried. Her eyes were red. And soon after Dr. Kahn came, he rushed out to the phone and he dialed Danton 106. "Nurse," he said, "it's an appendix." So, Madeline is the first bed on the left, or the last bed on the left, if you want to get technical with that. Now, in this corner right here, this is what the nurses of the 1930s, 40s, and probably 50s wore, more before we actually started with the whole surgical garb. We actually have improved with medical research ever since then, like leaps and bounds. So, it turns out, little Madeline needs her appendix taken out. Do you know what that is? It's like that little thing at the end of your intestine. It's not really there for anything, and it's anything. So, when your doctor... So, if your appendix is about to burst, please go see a doctor. Everybody had to cry. Not a single eye was dry. Madeline was in his arm, in a blanket safe and warm. In a car with a red light, they drove out into the night. Madeline woke up 2 hours later in a room of flowers. Madeline soon ate and drank. On her bed there was a crank, and a crack on the ceiling that had the habit of sometimes looking like a rabbit. Outside were birds, trees, and sky, and so 10 days passed quickly by. One nice morning, Miss Clavel said, "Isn't this a fine?" So that's the ambulance in the hospital. Do you think Madeline was very scared when she was in the hospital without her friends? I'd be pretty scared too if I was alone in a hospital without my friends to comfort me. But as you can see down here, the girls and Miss Clavel are going to visit her. Isn't this a fine day to visit Madeline? Visitors from 2 to 4 read a sign outside her door, tiptoeing with solemn face, with some flowers and a vase. In they walked, and that said, "Ah!" when they saw the toys and candy and the dollhouse from Papa. But the biggest surprise by far, on her stomach was a scar. Ooh. Okay, so Miss Clavel and the girls are going to visit Madeline in the hospital. Try to cheer her up. There they are. They're playing around with their toys. They're showing Madeline showing the scar she got from the surgery. Now, if you or your parents have had an appendix surgery, it's probably just a little scar, not like it's not a very big cut, so you probably won't need anesthesia. "Goodbye," they said. "We'll come again." And the girls left in the rain. They went home and broke their bread, brushed their teeth, and went to bed. In the middle of the night, Miss Clavel turned on the light and said, "Something is not right!" And afraid of a disaster, Miss Clavel ran faster and faster. And she said, "Please, children, do tell me what is troubling you." Aww. Looks like the girls miss her, even though they were there, comforting her. I think Miss Clavel loves her girls. She loves her little girls, even though only one of them causes trouble. And all the little girls cried, "Boo-hoo! We want to have our appendix out too." "Good night, little girls. "Thank the Lord you are well. And now go to sleep," said Miss Clabell. And she turned out the light and closed the door. And that's all there is. There isn't any more. Aw. So, the girl's Miss Madeline. So, I think the lesson we can take away from here is, while the support of your friends is really, really nice, don't forget that you've got stuff here. You've got your own problems to take care of. Sure, you can support someone, but you don't want to let that consume you. Just remember that now. Thank you so much for joining me in this special story time. I hope you have a nice rest of the week, and next week I will be reading you a story from one of my Disney 365 day book I have. So, see you later. Bye-bye.